Now let's apply what we've learned in class about standardizing variables using z-scores in Microsoft Excel. For this example, I'm going to be using the Depicting Distributions Week 6 Excel spreadsheet that I created for you. It's available in our class and also through a link in the description for this video. Let's take a look at our data set, and I'll show you what we're going to do with these z-scores. We are going to be on the second tab, which says z-scores. And here's where all of our findings are going to go. However, if you want to see what we're going to get to, you can click on the secondary tab. Here are all of the answers, including the formulas that I used, so you can always replicate these findings. Let's go back to that z-scores tab. I think this would be a good time to increase the size. Now we can see this a little bit better. All right, let's get started. To create a z-score, we need three things. We need the raw score, we need the mean of the variable, and we need the standard deviation of the variable. What we're going to do first is to create the mean and standard deviation of the variables that we're going to be using, and then we're going to use each raw score and standardize it by creating a z-score for each of the raw scores in our data set. The two variables that we will be using are from the dog toys data set, which is always on the first tab of an Excel spreadsheet, if you're ever looking for that. We're going to use the variables toys owned and days to fail. These are both scale level variables, and so we can use them for z-scores. Let's start with the toys owned variable and get the mean for this variable. It's pretty simple. I'm going to type the equal sign and average. Open parentheses. Toys owned is in column B, so I click on the B header, B:B, return. There's the average, 6.08. Standard deviation uses the equal sign, STDEV, and because this is a sample, I want to use the standard deviation sample function, not the function for the population. I'm going to click on stdev.s. There is one argument required for the standard deviation, and that is the range of the data, which would be in column B for toys owned. Click return, and now I have the standard deviation of 3.75. I could do the same thing to create the mean and standard deviation for days to fail. Equal, average, open parentheses, days to fail, equal sign, ST. There we go. Now I have raw scores in my variable. I have the mean of the variable and the standard deviation of the variable. I'm ready to create some z-scores. I'm going to begin creating z-scores for the variable toys owned. And they're going to go in this column, column K, where it says the z-score for toys owned. I'm going to be referring to the data that are contained in column B. So here's how this formula is going to work. I'm going to start with the equal sign, and the formula in Excel is STANDARDIZE, S-T-A-N, and I already see the suggested function. I'm just going to click on that. Now I have that. There are three arguments required: the raw score, the mean, and the standard deviation. The raw score is going to come from column B, the first value being a 5, comma. The mean is contained in cell G4, and because I want all of these raw scores to refer to the same mean, I'm going to anchor or create an absolute reference for G4. The way that you create an absolute reference in Microsoft Excel depends on whether you're using a Mac or a PC. In a PC, you will tap the key F4. On my Mac, I'm going to use Command T. Command T anchors or creates an absolute reference, which you can tell because there are the dollar signs in front of the G and the 4. Comma, my third argument is for the standard deviation, which is in cell G5, and also create an absolute reference, Command T, or the F4 key if you're using a PC. Close parentheses and return. The z-score for this first raw score is a negative 0.288. What would be nice, however, is to format this z-score a little bit better, and I'm going to do that by going to the increase or decrease decimal options and clicking on decrease decimal, bring that down to only 2 decimal places. And now I want to copy this z-score formula all the way down the column. Now to do that, if the columns are next to each other, you can use a double click. However, I didn't find it to work with this example, so I'm simply going to click and drag to copy the formula. I'm going to go to the Toys Owned, grab that handle in the lower right, and just drag this all the way to the bottom. There it is, right there. Those are the z-scores for all of the raw scores in the Toys Owned variable. I would create the z-scores for days to fail in the same way. I'm going to click on M2, equal sign, standardize. First argument is the raw score, comma. Second argument is the mean, and create an absolute reference, F4 or Command T, comma. Last argument is the standard deviation, click, Command T or F4, and return. I'm going to change this z-score to only 2 decimals by clicking on the decrease decimal. There it is. And drag this all the way down. It goes right there. All right, now I have created z-scores for both the Toys Owned and the days to fail variable. And next, we're going to learn how to use these z-scores to identify outliers in our data set.